My name is Nevis, and here we talk about you. And then we talk about God, and we talk about how He has designed you for success, how He has equipped you for success, and how, as a Christian, you can practically walk into everything that God has for you. God wants you to prosper, especially in your work, because you spend most of your time in that space doing the most. So if you succeed in your spirituality, but you don't see progress in your work, in what you do for business, for your career, then it's going to be a pretty sad life. You're going to live your life chasing resources, chasing influence, and everything is going to be just a little more harder or a lot more harder. So as a Christian, you have to understand that whatever you do for a living, God is really invested in that. He's invested in every aspect of your life. And as you learn to prosper in what you do for a living, you're literally learning to prosper in every aspect of your life. Because most of us will spend 80% of our days doing work, 80% of our active time doing work. So if God is involved in that, you're going to go amazing places. If God is partnered with you in your work, if you can hear Him and follow Him, you're going to have an epic career and an epic life. That's what we talk about here. We don't just understand that God has positioned you for success, but also how do we do that? How do we experience that? And today I'm talking about how to deal with challenging situations. Because sometimes when you're a Christian, you sort of like think you can pray things away. Like when a challenge comes, you're like, I'll pray and God will take it away. Yeah, we try to do that, but most times you see that the challenges still stay. The bad news will still come. Then setbacks will still come. Disappointments will still show up. It's inevitable that as you go through life, especially when you have goals and clear targets on where you want to be with your life, you find that the setbacks are consistent. The setbacks are not there though to pull you back. And so as you understand how to deal with setbacks, as you understand how to partner with God, even during the setbacks, you'll be able to exceed greatly in your life. Story after story in the Bible talks about these amazing people who God used in great ways, like Joseph, who was a prime minister and saved that world from famine. And then we see David, who became a king who never lost a battle and was the most memorable king. You said all these people, and there are many other examples, where found their kingship or found their glory through challenges. What is coming to mind is Gideon, Joshua. All these people were epic. They did amazing things, and we tell the stories and we learn from them. But you understand that if you were to picture yourself in their situation, imagine you're going against a giant. That's a setback. That's a huge setback. Imagine your parents don't remember you when a prophet comes to anoint your family, to bless your family. They don't remember that you're part of the family. The prophet has to insist. That's a setback. So there'll be disappointments. They are inevitable. They are part of your process. And how you deal with them will determine how far you're able to go, how much growth you're able to glean from these situations, and how slow or how fast you'll be able to achieve the things that you're designed to achieve, the things that you desire to achieve. So let's go to the basic thing. Why do challenges come? There'll be two sources of challenges. Some challenges are because it's just process. Life works that way. So there are seasons, right? Winter, spring, summer, and autumn. All those seasons come with different challenges, and life comes in seasons like that. So it's just part of the process, and sometimes it's just part of growth. If you're going to be an expert in your field, you start with knowing nothing. So that process of moving from knowing nothing to knowing something and becoming an expert, that process is challenging. And sometimes the setbacks and disappointments come through that process of learning and growing. That is one part where disappointments and setbacks come in. Another part is you. When you as a person make mistakes, when you as a person don't prepare, when you as a person are not diligent, that will also lead to setbacks. And you understanding why you're experiencing a specific setback does help. Because if you are self-aware and you understand that I made a mistake, this is why I'm disappointed, then you can own that mistake, learn from it, and move on powerfully. I find that sometimes Christians have a hard time being self-aware, because sometimes we just saying, oh, the devil is fighting me, or there's negative forces, or the Lord will fight for me. So many things we're saying without going to the ground of the issue, to the root of the issue. And sometimes you're thinking God is not helping us, or maybe my prayers are not being answered because you're not dealing with the real issue. If the real issue is your lack of diligence and you're praying it away, it won't work. Lack of diligence, laziness, lack of creativity, lack of discipline cannot be cast out of your life. It cannot be given to you by anointing. You have to earn it. You have to walk with God. God is going to want to train you and develop that muscle that allows you to work hard, that allows you to focus, that allows you to say no, that allows you to have a program and a plan for your life. You see, so we can't just think, oh, God is going to fight for me and he will rescue me in every situation. If it is God trying to train you and you're resisting him, how is he supposed to rescue you from that? God himself is letting you go through a tough season because he sees your character. He sees your skill. He sees that you need development and he sees where he's taking you and he says, okay, you're going to go through winter, a tough season. And in this tough season, you'll be ignored. In this tough season, you won't be acknowledged. In this tough season, you'll be disappointed. Things will not work, but you build resilience. You build expertise. You build a focus that will help you in the future. If it is God doing that in your life, coaching you through it, and you're praying it away and saying, take it away, God, take it away. I bind you, Satan. What is going to happen? You'll be frustrated and you'll be stuck in that space for quite a long time because God will know this child is not ready. This child doesn't know my voice. This child is not trying to move forward. So you have to understand why you're going through the difficult challenge you're going through. And one of the hardest things to do is to acknowledge that, well, I am not competent. To acknowledge that I am not good at what I'm doing. It's easier to just say, oh, people hate me. Oh, people, if you're like me, you say people are racist. People are this. You have so many excuses, but sometimes it's just incompetence. Sometimes it's just a character flaw. And if you can understand and own it, it doesn't mean you'll be there forever. You can actually improve and work towards it. So whatever the source of your setback, it can be used for good. You can ride it as a champ. You can learn from it and it can make you better. Because if it has been allowed into your life, that means God can use it. Sometimes things are just negative. People just hate you. People are just coming against you, you know? And you might think, what is going to happen with this? God can use that. Even people's hate, even people's negativity. God can use that and shape you and build you. So you have to stay on course. And here, I'm trying to get us to a place of resilience that at the end of this video, you'll be able to know that, all right, tough challenges will come. So you'll not be surprised when they come. You'll not be shocked and like, oh, I prayed. Why is this happening to me? You will be able to embrace that season and say, okay, winter happens. But how do I endure winter? You get warmer clothes. You change your outfits. If you're still trying to dress like it's summer, in winter, you'll be cold for no reason. You could enjoy winter if you're dressed appropriately. I remember when I moved to Scotland and I was feeling super cold and somebody said, and I was complaining about the weather and somebody said, the weather is never wrong. It's just your outfit that is wrong. And I was like, yeah, there's truth in that. The weather is going to be the weather. In a couple of months, now we're in spring, in a couple of months, a few months, it's going to start getting cold again. It's going to be winter again. And I could complain about it or I could prepare for it and dress appropriately. That's the same thing with you on setbacks. You can prepare for them, understanding that through life, as long as you have goals, as long as you have a direction you're going, through life, you have winter seasons, you have setbacks, you have challenges. Some your fault, some not your fault. Some just part of the process. Yeah. And I just remembered another thing I said, that setbacks can come through your fault and through part of the process. Another thing is just really through the enemy. Because if you're a Christian, you're a child of God, the enemy is up against you. And sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's not just part of the process. Sometimes it's the enemy coming strongly against you. That's a third way for the third foundation of the setbacks. And all these setbacks will require different strategies. Because if it is your fault, then you can equip yourself, you can learn from it, and you can better yourself, you can get mentors. If it is just part of the process, something, you need mentors, you need to endure, you need to understand it will pass. And the third time, if it is the enemy targeting against you, you have to level up in your spiritual life. You have to level up in your defenses. You have to level up because you know that this battle is not physical. This battle is now spiritual. You see? So by the end of this video, I hope that you will have the tools to be more resilient. You will have the understanding, knowing that just because things are hard doesn't mean things will stay that way. Seasons come, seasons go. You have the capacity and the capability to endure the tough seasons. So how do you go through a tough season? How do you go through a setback? You wanted a promotion, you didn't get it. You wanted that job, you didn't get it. You wanted to have that relationship, it didn't work out. There are different challenges that will come in different forms, but how do you endure? First of all, you have to pause before you react. Most of the things that we go through that are challenging can be resolved if we are able to manage our emotions. Sometimes we make things harder for ourselves because of our emotions. Let's say you didn't get the job and now you're angry because you felt like they were leading you on. You felt like through all this process, I felt like I deserved this job. You can speak rashly. You can tarnish your image there. You can burn that bridge. And then later you might find that, oh, they had a different role. They were actually thinking they could put you in a different role, but you burnt that bridge, right? So sometimes it's a relationship and you are angry because they've disappointed you. Instead of thinking of a progressive way to fix a situation, you can say something negative and you can close the door for that relationship to ever be built again. It won't. I remember going through a situation where somebody was trying to help me and they didn't help me the way I wanted. And so I overreacted. I was so angry. And it was a public anger. And everyone around me was looking around saying, oh, this woman is like on fire. I left that place. And I remember getting home, driving home, and God saying, that won't work. That's not the testimony you'll leave in that place. You're going to have to go back to apologize. And I was embarrassed. I was angry, but I knew I wouldn't be able to shake that off. So I went back, drove back, wasted my fuel because it was some distance. I had to go back. And when I got back in that place, people remembered me. Because, sorry. When I went back to that place, people remembered me. They knew me because I had just burnt that place down with anger. And they were started pointing, and that was really embarrassing. And I went to the person, the receptionist, and said, I'm looking for this guy with the shirt. I just didn't know the guy's name, but I knew what he was wearing. And the guy, the person was like, okay. You could see that they were like expecting more drama from me. But the guy came and I went to him and I said, I'm sorry. And I had a parcel for him. I had to give an offering of apology. I was like, I'm sorry. It wasn't your fault what I did, and it was uncalled for. I am sorry. I was overreacting because of some other issues, and it just happened to be an outlet, and I was frustrated. I am really, really sorry. And the guy was shocked. He was really shocked, and everyone around was like, okay, what's happening? But what I learned from there is that sometimes God is looking at the future, and he knows that this relationship, you might burn it now and might feel justified in burning it. But in 5 years, that same person might be the person that opens the door, or you might need that place again. So you shouldn't burn bridges. As long as it depends on you, stay at peace. And if you have made a mistake, you can go back and say, I'm sorry. I'm taking that back. And if they don't want to forgive you, that's a different story. But you do your part to stay at peace with everyone, right? So managing your emotions, your ability to manage your emotions goes a long way in your ability to recover or from a setback and to actually positively deal with a challenging situation. So pause and reflect. Sometimes it's so disappointing. You're thinking, I shouldn't react now. You can actually say that and say, thank you for what you've told me. It's disappointing, but I'll talk to you later. It's okay to take a pause and go away. The second thing is review and learn. One of the hardest things you do when you are disappointed or you have gone through a setback is to review that situation, because you don't want to think about it again. At least for me, I would just ignore it, put it in the back of my head and move on. But I had been going through this whole thing where that feeling that you feel, the disappointment, the sadness, everything, you need to go through that feeling. You need to understand that as a person, that's normal. So go through the negative feelings, but review what happened. Could I have foreseen this? Or was it my mistake? Was this an attack? Was there a situation I could have fixed? Learn from it. Not to blame yourself, but to move forward positively. Because if it was a capacity issue, your competence issue, then you can sit back and say, okay, if I want something like this, if I want a role like this in the future, if I want a relationship like this in the future, then maybe I should work on my skills in IT. Maybe I should work on my skills in negotiation. You can actually grow from it if you're able to learn from it. So reviewing the situation, and if you can't do it objectively on your own, if you have a trusted friend who can be independent, you can share that situation and say, what do you think I would have done differently? When you do that, don't be defensive, because sometimes you ask for opinions and people are telling you and you're like, no, you don't understand the situation. You're being very defensive, and that's not really helpful. So go through that process of reviewing and then getting learning points from it. It doesn't have to be on the same day that you've gone through a challenge. It doesn't have to be the same week even. If this is going to be objective, if it's going to be really helpful, give yourself time. Make sure you're not emotional so that you can go through an effective review and learn. The next thing is that you have to keep showing up. You keep moving forward. Another thing that is easy to do when you're disappointed is to just dump the whole situation. Like, I failed at this, I'm never doing it again. That's it. Sometimes it might be a positive thing to acknowledge that I'm not good at this, so maybe I'm moving away from it. But if it is just you being mad and frustrated and say, I'll not show up again, I'll never do this again, you block something that God was working on. Because again, every champion was an amateur. And when you're an amateur, you make silly mistakes. When you're an amateur, you embarrass yourself. When you're an amateur, it is just harder than it should be. But it doesn't mean you'll be an amateur forever. If you go through that embarrassing situation, but you keep showing up, if you make mistakes, but you keep showing up, it will get better. You will get to a place where you will now have the skill and capacity if you keep showing up, if you stay faithful, and if you don't give up. So your ability to keep showing up, to understand that I really want to become the scientist. I really would like to build this relationship. I really would like to get a job abroad. I got negative after negative, but I can keep showing up. I can keep trying. I can keep learning. It will help you. You get to where you want to get. The next thing you can do also is to trust God's timing. And this is a comfort situation for us as Christians, because as other people go through challenges, I don't know where they go for comfort. Others go to alcohol, others go to friends, and maybe your friends are not even good friends. Other people go to different things. But as a Christian, you have to be able to go to the Holy Spirit, to go back to God. He knows the end from the beginning. That's what I tell myself. God knows the end from the beginning. And in this situation, even when I don't see the way out, He does. Even when I see just pain and disappointment and frustration, He sees the good that could come out of it. Because He is God. He is able. And so, if you don't get what you want today, you can trust that in due course you will. If you're doing the rest of the process I've talked about, you're being diligent to learn from what you have gone through, the negative thing you've gone through, you're building your capacity, you're showing up, then you can trust God. You can rest in Him. There is favor for us as children of God. There's mercy for us. There's healing. There's forgiveness for us as children of God. And we get to access that in our intimacy with God. That's what is important, for you to have that intimate relationship with God, so that when you are disappointed, you're able to lean on Him. When you are hurt, when you're incompetent, when you're lazy, when you're tired, when you're going through all these human emotions and human flaws, you can lean on Him, and He can comfort you, and He can equip you for the next level. Our inability to draw that comfort from God can lead to us drawing comfort from other things that can be detrimental, can lead to us overreacting, because then if you don't believe, if you don't have hope, then what's the point? You can just be destructive. You can just burn a bridge, and that could backfire in the future. So your ability to trust God is really a reflection of how well you know this God, how close you are to this God, how often you talk to this God. And if you're able to lean on Him in those situations, you'll be able to ride the challenges as a champ. You'll be able to learn. You'll be able to still find joy even after you've gone through a challenge. The next thing is you have to prepare now for the next. Yeah? A challenging situation has come, yes. But life is going on, right? Life is still going on. So what is your next level? What is your next challenge? What is your next stop? Yeah, just because you have failed or you've had a setback, a disappointment, now doesn't mean that's the end. It just means you're going to have to prepare again. If you have learned from whatever situation you've had, if you have understood the source of that negative setback, you can then say, okay, I'll do my part. I'll pray about it. I'll equip myself, but I need to move forward and prepare for the next. Because be assured, if the challenging situation has gone, there's another thing coming, another test. And that test will be an opportunity for you to elevate. And don't waste the challenging situation. Don't waste the frustration or the setback, because that should build you up. That should make you more resilient. That should make you more equipped for the next challenge. So if you were running a marathon and you were number 2, you didn't win, right? Doesn't mean that next marathon you'll be like, oh, that's it. No, you prepare. Now, why didn't I not win? Why didn't I become number 1 in that marathon? Then you perfect whatever issue was there, and you perfect whatever situation. You practice. You do your best, because you know there'll be another opportunity to run again and you could win. You see? So these are the steps that you should take as you are going through a setback. They might be 1 week, 1 month. It depends on how big the situation is. But as you go through these steps, you're building resilience, and that is essential for you as a child of God to prosper in this life. If you build resilience, if you're able to handle setbacks, if you're able to handle disappointment, you will go really, really far, because life has lots of that. And most people, after a disappointment, they sit down, they quit. The people who stand and say, I won't quit, are the ones who win. The people who say, I will learn from this, are the ones who win. And for us Christians, God is already on our side. He's there to comfort us, equip us, encourage us, so that even through the setback, you can find joy, peace, and fulfillment. So therefore, you'll be guaranteed to win as you do these things. So let's just run through them again. First of all, you have to understand the source of your setback. Is it your fault because you were not diligent? Is it your fault because you were not prepared? You were lazy? Because you were not just in tune with the situation, is it your fault? Number two, you have to also understand, is it just part of the process? You are an amateur becoming an expert. So you go through setbacks as you learn. You make mistakes as you learn. Is that the reason? Number three, is it just the enemy targeting you as a child of God and trying to make things harder than they should be? When you understand why the setback exists, then you can move with intention to the stages that help you deal with the setback. What are the stages? Number one, review and pause before you react. That is essential. Manage your emotions. The Bible says that if you are able to manage your emotions after making a mistake, you will be forgiven big mistakes. Number two, you have to review and learn. Have a practical session where you just sit down and say, how could I have done that better? Or what can I learn from it moving forward? Don't make it a guilt session. Make it a progressively, how can I get better moving forward session. Number three, what is number three? Number three, you have to stay faithful. Keep showing up. Don't quit. You can quit for a day because you're disappointed, but get back up and get back in the ring. You can't win if you're not still in the game. Stay in the game. Don't quit. Number four, you have to trust God's timing. God is in charge. You do your part. Whether you made a mistake or not, do your part. Acknowledge the issue. Take responsibility. Do your part to equip yourself, to get better, to make amends. And you can trust that God will make a way for you and will prosper you in his best way. Number five, you have to prepare for the next. Yeah, the challenges have come, the setback has been there, you're disappointed, but there'll be another round, there'll be another opportunity. That's how life works. Time and chance happens to us all. So there'll be a different season that is coming up that will give you new challenges where you can use whatever you have learned through this disappointment to elevate. I hope this was helpful for you. And if it was, do let me know. If you have any questions, do share, like, and subscribe. Yeah, but ultimately, I want us to understand just because we believe in God doesn't mean that we won't be able to face challenges. It's inevitable. That's just how life is. You will face challenges. And so knowing God allows us to face challenges with grace, to face challenges with hope, to face challenges with confidence, knowing that we have a God who's on our side, who fights our battles. Yeah. I hope this was helpful. If it was, let me know. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. I love